nature of each blossom, each unique and each a pathway to the divine.
I and you and we are everywhere. I and you and we are everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. I and you and we are everywhere, everywhere. The parts of myself feel ungrounded, I ground you. Parts of myself feel unseen, I see you. The parts of myself feel unwanted, I want you. To the parts of myself feel unfree, I free you. I am love, I am magnificence, I am all of God's glory, I am rebirth. I am light, I am the light within. I am all of creation, the living planet Earth. I am the one. I am the one. To the parts of myself feel abandoned, I am here. To love and be with all your pain and all your fear. To the parts of myself that feel unworthy, I invite to bring you with me, integrating as I thrive. I am love, I am magnificence, I am all of God's glory, I am the rebirth. I am light, I am the light within. I am all of creation, the living planet Earth. I am the one. Hey, yeah. I am the one. Rendiale beseran veo tere a sognare gli aterumo. Heaven the master ya recibe. Rumenarte viviendo te se mandi vegarte mi sarete. Halia mas vaste via sarante. And you know wellspring of divinity, the consciousness in everything. I am the breaking of patterns, the breathing of lungs. I am the one. Hey, I am the one. Hey, yes, I am love. I am magnificence. I am all of God's glory. I am the rebirth. Oh, I am the light. I am the light within. I am all of creation, the living planet Earth. I am the one. I am the one. Hey, hey, hey. And I see all of your moving parts as you flip and twist and turn. And I recognize the light in you and your capacity to learn. Facets of a face turning like cogs in a machine. And the world spins on inside a song, pulling you into me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. I like that song.
Yeah,
That
that's a good
was
one.
great. And I just realized that I heard it this morning for the first time, and I realized I heard one of the lyrics incorrectly. It said, what I heard the first time was, I see the light in you and your capacity to burn. Which I thought was very profound, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, that can work a lot of different ways, but it was capacity to learn, which I find a little less interesting. Just saying. I just don't feel like wearing all this today. Hope you don't mind.
No.
So, last week at the end of Reverend Linda's talk, I shared something, and I'm gonna, this will be review for some of us, but I'm gonna share it again, because it really fits in with our talk today, letting our innate beauty shine. And what I shared was a personal story that happened for me, which was one of those threshold moments. I'm gonna back up just for a second. So Reverend Linda and we just submitted our application for ordination with Centers for Spiritual Living on Thursday, which was super exciting. It's very exciting. And we did a little prayer over it before we send, which we've learned to do.
Yeah, that's a good idea, right?
And what I realized was how many threshold moments there have been in life. How many times have you stepped from like those lines of demarcation, those points where you have literally stepped from one life into a new experience of life or a new direction for your life? Isn't that amazing? Like that constant blooming open of life, that it's not a straight trajectory. It's just this looping, beautiful labyrinth of life that just, I don't know, I'm excited about it because it's spring and we've got a sign that says the lighthouse. And
Yeah, it's awesome.
just all the things. So when I was in my 20s, before I was in my 20s, I was completely feral. You would not have allowed me in your house. I wasn't the type of person that you would have ever thought that was going to end up here. So I became a part of a 12-step program when I was 24, and I had a friend who wasn't my sponsor at the time, but he was a friend, and we were walking. He was a much older guy, and we were taking a walk because that's how we would process, is by walking. And he kept pointing out to me that I was like this all the time. I would sit in my seat with my legs crossed, with my arms crossed, with my head down, my shoulders were up all the time. Even when walking and talking, I was doing that. And he had this habit of putting his finger on my head and doing this, right? Mm-hmm. Oh man, it was so uncomfortable, but he was reminding me, look up, look up, hold your head up. And finally he got very frustrated with me at one point when we were walking, and he made me stand in front of this storefront with this big window, and he said, I want you to look at yourself right now. And I did, and what I saw was a small person. And so he gently raised my chin, pulled my shoulders back, and he said, I want you to hold your arms out. And I still feel that. I still feel that in my body. I still feel that moment when I stood and I saw myself in a big space. Because I hadn't been allowed to have that. I hadn't been allowed to have my space. I didn't know that I deserved it. I didn't know that I could be safe, right? Because this is protection. This is vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And so in that moment, it was a threshold for me. It was a moment where I began to heal the wounds that happen, right? There's no one to blame. There's nothing to hold accountable anymore. It's life, and it's what has happened. And I've gotten there through a lot of forgiveness work, trust me, through a lot of forgiveness work and through a lot of healing. But at this point, what I know is that life happened, and it made me feel like I needed to protect myself. And at this point, I was allowed to now claim space. that I could be big, and that I could take up room. And what he told me, what he showed me when I looked in that window was my space. That this is literally, this space around me is my personal space, and that I own it. It's mine. I can let something in if I want to, if I want to. Nothing can come into this space without my permission, and nothing can leave this space unless I give it consciously, unless I give it freely, unless I give it because I want to. Nothing can be taken away. And so I had to practice this. I had to practice in the mirror, looking at my space and claiming my space, especially when I was feeling not there, especially when I was in fear, or I was facing something that was frightening, or I had experienced something that had maybe violated that space. I had to reclaim it, and I still do. I still do. So I want to share that with you. I want to share that opportunity to spread your arms and to feel your space, and to maybe look in the mirror with your arms open at some point and claim your space, and know that it's okay. Know that it's safe in the bathroom. And then when it's safe in the bathroom, it can be safe out in the living room, and maybe safe in the kitchen, and maybe safe outside, and maybe safe at work, and maybe safe at the center, and maybe safe everywhere, all the time. But start someplace if you're feeling that you need that. And so in that space, I get to be what Spirit created, what life created, not what other people put on me, not what experiences on the planet happen to shape in me, right? It wasn't, I am not the part of me that lives in the center, in the core of this space. This part that God made is perfect. And what that means is that it doesn't need to be changed. There is nothing in that perfection that needs to be changed, and it's whole. There's nothing that needs to be added to it. It's complete. There's nothing that needs to be taken away. There's nothing that can be taken from it. And I know that that's my truth, and I know that that's your truth. That's the truth of you, that you have inside of you that perfect place. That is what God created. That is what we showed up as when we arrived here on the planet. And it's never been damaged. And it cannot be damaged. And some faith traditions call that the soul, right? So maybe that's a soul. I don't know what we need to label it.
Wireless caller Larry B.
Hey, Larry. What's up?
It's in Larry too.
Larry is present, and Spirit is present in Larry. So we're grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have had that experience, as painful as it was, as much as I still have to remind myself that it's okay to open my heart. I'm grateful to have had it, because it was a threshold experience, and man, did life start changing after that. Now I have to look at my iPad. I've got it all. I just don't know where it all is.
Ditto. There you go. That says it.
Yeah. You need to put that in cross stitch.
Can we get that on a pillow, Kenny? Maybe not. Are you gonna, my assistant Linda will now adjust my microphone, which I will probably move 5 times, so just let me know.
Well, if you curve it, you don't have to keep trying.
So, So we're gonna bring this back to science of mind, right? And this is an incredibly powerful concept in science of mind, because science of mind teaches us that every person obviously is an individualized expression of the one, right? So I love that there is a multitude of different little expressions of God. Like it's like a kaleidoscope of spirit, and I think that for me in my brain that works, right? That works, because then I can see how I used to get confused about the oneness, right? But how can we all be one if we're all different? Still a question, I guess. But what I know is that we are individual expressions of the one, and that's we're not a mistake, we're not an afterthought, right? And we're not like a spiritual extra trying to learn their act here on the planet. We're here to be authentic. We're here to be our true selves. So that means that you're not something that needs to be apologized for, that your existence isn't an inconvenience to the universe, right? No matter what happens, Spirit didn't create you accidentally and then ask you to spend your life shrinking in order to make other people comfortable. Because that's what this was. This was making myself small so I could feel safe. This was making myself feel protected because other people needed me to be small, because somehow I was threatening to them. But Spirit didn't make us to be here to make other people comfortable. One of the things that we learned about in ministerial school, or at least I heard somebody say, maybe it was at lunch, maybe we didn't learn it, maybe somebody said it to me and I'm stuck, and it was like, what was it? I'm here to comfort the disturbed and disturb that comfort.
Wow.
So what Holmes wrote is that God can only do for us what he can do through us. And so part of the biggest tragedies of life is that we end up blocking our expression of ourselves because we make other people uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, we're not being in our authenticity, and so Spirit is blocked in its ability to flow through us. So just know, if I upset you, it's because I'm being real. I'm just being God. You're doing God things. So
You might upset me.
so this was a boundary, right? This was a boundary. This is also a boundary. And I know that we talk a lot about boundaries, and I've heard a lot about boundaries. And sometimes people use boundaries as weapons. Mm-hmm. Sometimes boundaries can be really rude. Mm-hmm. And sometimes boundaries can be used to keep ourselves like this. Mm-hmm. And so what I've learned is, like, your boundaries don't need to be an electric fence that if somebody touches them, it shocks them or blasts them across the field. You know, it can just be, your boundary can just be the field that you reside in that tells people what's okay and what's not in a gentle and loving way. Mm-hmm. In fact, our boundaries aren't about other people at all. Our boundaries are about what I'm okay with and what I'm not okay with. Where does my boundary with this end? Not where do you have to stop, but where do I say no? Where do I say this is enough? This is my end. We are talking a lot this year about the garden, living in the garden. And one of the things I know about gardens is that if a garden doesn't have a good boundary, it's going to get trampled, right? There's going to be deer, right? Somebody's going to park their car on your vegetables, but you know, it's happened. But roses need room. they need room to grow. Roses need room to be roses, and they never apologize for being their glorious thorny self. They don't apologize for their thorns. And their thorns are just there to protect them. So I know it's getting a little confusing. And do I have a thorn? Or do I not have a thorn? Am I supposed to have a sharp, pointy boundary, or am I supposed to be soft? And how do you have a soft boundary? I'm not going to give you the answers. I'm just going to leave you with the questions. So here's the question. How do you become yourself if you feel like you've never were given permission to be yourself in the first place?
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
Some of us inherited identities.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Masks, expectations of other people, religious conditioning, family systems, trauma responses. We all carry some combination of all of those things. And some of us became who we are, became who we needed to be in order to survive. But survival mode is not living.
Mm-mm.
So Science of Mind teaches that consciousness creates experience. Sometimes it's not our consciousness that creates our experience, but someone else's. So if deep in our consciousness we carry the belief, I must become smaller to be safe, I must perform to be loved, or I must abandon myself to belong, then we continue creating lives that reinforce those conditions. Not because we're being punished, but because consciousness is creative. So healing begins the moment that we become aware enough to interrupt the pattern. We're pattern disruptors. One of my favorite authors and modern mystic, Clarissa Pinkola Estes, wrote, "To be ourselves causes us to be exiled by many others, and yet to comply with what others want causes us to be exiled from ourselves."
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
And there comes a moment in our spiritual maturity where our soul finally says that I would rather belong to myself and to God than to be living a performance.
Mm-hmm.
That's sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about our innate beauty, and our innate beauty isn't about being attractive. It's not about how we look, but it's about what happens when we stop apologizing for existing. And you can feel it when somebody becomes themselves. You can feel it when they walk in the room. There's a different presence in their energy. There's a way that they talk. There's a way that they look. There's a light that comes from them. Their energy feels more spacious when people have arrived in themselves. And just like the roses don't apologize for their blooms, or the sunset doesn't apologize for being like really vivid, we stop learning to apologize for ourselves when the fear starts loosening its grip on us. Because I don't believe that God created us to spend our entire lives folded up, folded inward, and clinging on. I believe that Spirit brought us here so that we could be the full expression of ourselves, no matter what that is. Right? No matter what that is. feel like some of us might have confused self-abandonment with kindness. And we've done that for so long, we've abandoned ourselves for so long that we might not recognize our own souls. But we learned that. We learned it childhood, marriages, churches, jobs, all of those things. We learned to live in the smallness. But your soul wasn't designed for that. So this week, because you know I'm always going to give you an assignment. This week I'm not asking you to, revise your entire life. Just want you to start noticing. And that's all I ever ask, right? Just begin to notice. Notice where you might be abandoning yourself in small ways. I have to still remind myself, I still have this way, they call it armoring, right? Where I will hold my shoulder. Just this one, it's not this anymore, but I'll notice that my shoulder is up, right? Like I'm waiting for the blow. Right? It's protection. And I have to remind myself still, drop your shoulder, drop your shoulder, drop your shoulder. There's nothing to be, there's nothing here, there's nothing here. There's no fear. So I'm asking you for that. Where are you armoring physically? Where are you armoring spiritually or emotionally? Where are you editing yourself in situations? Oh, maybe I don't want to say that because it might offend them. I'm like, offend them. They'll learn. They'll learn or go away. It's like, right? It's just to be authentic in kindness, but authenticity is what's being asked. So start noticing where you might be playing small, making yourself smaller to fit into somebody else's idea of what you should be, or how you should behave, or what this role is that you're supposed to be playing. And I think it's important for a lot of us in our community. Some of us are newly retired, and we're like, now I get to do what I want to do. I don't even know what that is, because I have spent so long doing what everybody else wanted to do, or my boss wanted me to do, or my partner needed me to do, or my kids needed me to do, or the bills needed me to do. Or maybe we have folks here in our community who are single parents, and they don't know how to ask for help, and they have exchanged their personal value for exhaustion. And people do that even with their jobs. The more harder I work, the more valuable I am. And that's not true. Your value is innate. And it moves beyond whatever the boss sees. Just as long as it doesn't affect the paycheck, right? I feel rebellious today. If you hadn't noticed, I'm wearing the phoenix, right? I noticed. I'm just feeling a little rebellious. And part of that for me is also Mother's Day. Mother's Day is a mixed bag for me. It's a mixed bag. And I wish that we could truly honor the divine feminine beyond the feminine's ability to give birth. But to feel the energy of the divine feminine in all of its power, in all of its ways, in all of its strength, in all of its knowledge. There is so much more to being female, to being feminine, to being a woman than giving birth. Every time we open our mouths, we're giving birth. We're being creative. So I invite us all to really embrace that feeling of the divine feminine inside of all of us, because it resides there. So I just needed to get that out. I do have a community question. Did I go over time? Oh, we got time. Where in your life are you being invited to stop shrinking and start arriving? Yes.
For me,
somebody eloquently said that they're learning to be the thermostat, not the thermometer in reacting to people.
Ooh.
And I really took that to heart because I have to deal with a lot of people all the time. And I've I wanna react with love and lead with love instead of fear, and try and hear their side of the story and back off to let them feel heard. And I'm really coming into my own maturity on that, and I'm grateful. And I've had obstacles throughout my whole life, but I didn't understand anger and where all of this struggle and all that came from. But when this wise woman said this, I just went, yeah, that's it. The thermostat kind of brings it down, and the thermometer, you don't want to be the thermometer where, so anyways, that's what I'm doing.
That part that you talked about too is that giving other people space, giving them space often will drop whatever the energy is, because really all we're struggling for is to be seen, heard, and valued, every single one of us in all situations. Where are you being invited to step into your space?
I would say it was a portion of me, not all of me, but a portion of me, a big portion at my job, first job I ever had, that I've had a sense of being able to be myself, be creative, and be seen, and that's a real special thing, because when you're doing something for hours in a day, be able to be a good portion of yourself and welcomed. That's a really powerful thing, because then you can do your job, which I'm a bus driver, I take care of little ones and big ones and stuff. I'm allowed to give of myself in a way that's really special and creative. And that's a really special thing that I've ever had in any of my jobs that I've had. So my job allows me a good portion of myself to be my authentic self, which is very, very special.
That's beautiful. Yes, thank you. Maybe one more. Come on, you know you will. So I'll just leave you with this. Just put your hand here over that solar plexus area. And just imagine that little perfection in there. Whatever it looks like, maybe it looks like a little baby, maybe it looks like a rose, maybe it looks like a golden ball of light. Whatever comes to mind, that's just your truth. There's no right or wrong way. Just remember that is always there with you. It's always there, and that nobody, no person, no place, no circumstance can harm that. That is where spirit resides. Thank you for your blessing. Namaste. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Reverend. We're going to move into that time of conscious giving, whether it is your Sunday to give financially or to give intentionality.
I like that.
And we graciously accept it all. So I invite you to take the gift that you brought today, or a vision of it, and place it on your heart and affirm after me: this gift I give is spirit in action.
This gift I give is spirit in action.
I give knowing that I receive.
I give knowing that I receive.
Allowing Emerald Valley to flourish and grow.
Allowing Emerald Valley to flourish and grow.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
So it is.
So it is.
Before I forget, there's a gold bowl. You know the drill. You can place your financial good in the gold bowl, or you can place a blessing on a coin or a ceramic star, and place that in the bowl as well. We count it all matters, and it's all good. So we joyously receive it. So at your leisure, I invite you up.
From the wilderness of